everybody. Let me turn some stuff off. There we go. I'll turn you off. There we go. And I'll turn this back on. Bada bing, bada boom. Hello. How are you? I'm Jeremy. And yeah, tell me where you guys are coming from. Okay. I'm on live chat, like always. I don't know how. I'm always like way at the last second getting stuff together. So I was running up and down the hill, getting stuff. I didn't even bring it over. Oh, there it is. Got a thing to show you. So, but anyway, yes. Whoa, hey-oh. Hang on. Okay, so I'm seeing the chat in two different places. There it is. Okay, it's showing up over here. So I'm running everything, if you care about this stuff, I'm running everything through OBS this week, which is a open source. Let me move that chair out of the way. Oh, can you see it? I had to run up the hill to get this. Today's the day I can finally show you my Showalter. So, hey, Rich is here. Rich Johnson. Whoa, watch out. You might turn on us. Yellow from Chicago. This true story. This was my brother-in-law's shirt that was going to Goodwill, and I snagged it. My wife snagged it yesterday because it looks awesome. And I've been saying I want a flannel. This one is a bit big, or maybe I'm a bit smaller. This is a large. That's kind of crazy. Like larges don't. Normally I feel in a large pretty good. But yeah, I'm down 25 pounds since May. So anyway. Heyo, Mr. Matt McFarlane, all the way from Paisley. Jolly old Scotland. How's that go over? John Washburn says, I'm still in Kansas, and Rocky Northern says, what up? So, okay, here's the thing. So I'm using a different software because I'm not able to do some of the things I want to do, but I'm able to get better quality coming this way through running stuff directly from my computer through OBS straight to YouTube. So anyway, so I'm not using StreamYard, which means I can't like bring up somebody's, like if someone comments, I don't think I can. No, there's not a good way to do it. So I can't like bring it up. That's the thing that kept me at StreamYard for so long, is the ability to like highlight a comment. So if you want to really get my attention, I'm going to miss things here. So you can use super chats. Those are a good way to support the channel. And yes. Ooh, let's see. Let's see. John says, you built a business guitar, and I love the bridge. Business? Badass. What do you mean? You built a business guitar. I did build a business. What's that Jay-Z quote? I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. I don't know how I resonate with that. Like most things I do end up being vocational endeavors. The line between work and life is pretty gray. So let me show you this guitar. I have two things to show you right away. Number one, if you've seen the YouTube video today, if you've seen my Instagram post, I think there were like basically 3 different posts, a story, a reel, and a photo post. This guitar, look at this thing. It matches my yellow sweatshirt, my yellow flannel. So a couple things. Number one, here is my Showalter. There it is. So Sycamore top, quarter sawn Sycamore, Osage Orange bridge. Osage Orange bridge, Osage Orange on the back and sides. Big deep V-neck on this guitar. Tortoiseshell binding, and Osage Orange bridge, I talked about that. Fretboard extension doesn't have extra frets, so that I can put a cool inlay there. I'm gonna meet with, I'm gonna take this over to Nathan next week, and we're gonna talk about it. So anyway, okay, so it's looking like all my audio is coming in good. I just wanna make sure. I'm just feeling a little apprehensive. So I'll play a little bit while we wait for a couple more people to come hang out. Also, I've got a story to tell you. I was at the Martin Artist Room today. All right, what should I play? me see. So this guitar really fits my style, which is good. I mean, because I was building, I think I'll talk more about this. Like I was basically building a pretty guitar, and then along the way, it was like we're a couple episodes in, I was like, I didn't really think about how this guitar would sound. And so then I got it stuck in my head that I was like, oh boy, I don't know if I'm gonna like this guitar, which I don't know how I wouldn't. I really like this guitar. So, yeah, only gets better from here is what, Kanajan? I don't know how to say your name. So, okay, well, here's a pick from the boy. It is. So it's interesting. So this pick is from Martin. It's one of their deluxe picks. I think it's blue chip material. And but one of the things they pointed out is that it has 3 different edges. So this first one feels it's pretty pointy. Side 2, the very rounded one. It's interesting. It sounds different. I don't know if you're going to get, because there's some compression on this mic up here. Now here's the third side. Back to that second side. So there's the guitar. It did turn out great. And I'm very happy with it. We ended up going with 2 coats of nitro on this, sanded in between. And so it's a proper, I mean, nitrocellulose finish, Sycamore top, Osage orange bridge, Osage orange back and sides, ebony fingerboard, ebony strip on the back here, and then a walnut strip down the back, big V neck, 1.75" nut width. And yeah, so, holy y'all, found y'all. Now y'all can kill the metronome. Is there a metronome? I don't know what that means. Okay, well, I have one more thing to show you, and then we'll get into it. So today we're going to talk about Underdog brands that you either have to muster up some courage to like play, because you probably would be bummed, sad. I don't know. You'd have to. You'll see. As soon as we get into this list, you're gonna be like, "Yeah, I got it. I know what you're talking about." So the first thing I have to show you is most exciting to me. I know a bunch of you already have them, but if you don't, here is your chance. I just got mine today, and here it is. This are the new shirts from Guitar Hunter. So these have a couple things that we haven't done before yet. So number one, we've never done a logo on an arm like this. So that's pretty cool. And I'm very excited about that. Now, the phrase guitars make us better. One of the things I say pretty much in every video is go fill the world with music and friendship. And I think guitars have a profound ability to make us better. They make you a better friend. They make you a better musician. They just help you grow, discover yourself, learn. So it's just, if you want to learn about yourself, get a guitar in your lap, get a musical instrument under your fingers, and just see what happens when you just get to be alone with it for a while. So anyway, yes, I'm very happy with these. I won't put it on right now because I don't want to take my shirt off. I mean, I do have an OnlyFans. No, I don't. I don't know why I said that. Okay. Okay, well, let us get into this. So remember, if you have any questions, comments, slanderous remarks for me, the best way to get my attention, if you have a burning question, if you need to know what my opinion is on a Martin OM28 Modern Deluxe, if it's burning in your mind and you need to know, you can use a super chat. They're a different color. They're just easier for me to see, and I'll prioritize those. Also, it's easier for me to see the comments that come from members, and channel members have a little Guitar Hunter icon next to their name. They are the people that you really should thank. They are the people that you should encourage, and just tell them that they're wonderful, because they are supporting my channel. And that's how I get to take a couple months and come and live in Nashville for a bit, and just take time away from the studio in Virginia to be here in Tennessee. So thank you so much, channel members. Consider becoming a channel member if you are so inclined. Yes, talked about the guitar, talked about the t-shirt. Now let's talk about some guitar brands that are, these are the guitar brands that you got to work up some courage, or they're just underdogs, and they're brands I want to cheer for. Number one, now I'm just going to kind of spitball run through these. If you want to talk about them as we go, now there is a delay. There's probably 15 seconds from the time I'm saying this to the time you hear it. Like, look, I'm going to say right now, I'll go over here to YouTube and I'll see. So when I see my finger snap over here, it is there. So that's how much delay there is from the time I talk to then, 7-8 seconds. So anyway. Oh, here's a good question we'll start out with right away. Let me come back over here and I'll turn this off for 1 second. So turn the logos off. So this question is from Canada Jan. You just told me how to... Canadian, okay, sure. Canadian says, how did it feel to see Joyce grab your guitar and play a beautiful tune on it? You had to be grinning ear to ear. I was. So as I was setting up, she didn't want to play. I was like, hey, can you just play this and I'll just set up the camera? Because I just needed to set focus and lighting and audio levels. So I was just having her play, and she's a freaking amazing singer. She's a really good guitar player. She's just extraordinary. And so anyway, I had her kind of sit there and set everything up. And so actually the clip of her playing, I think, is actually before me. I don't remember anymore. It's all a blur. It was like 20 episodes. So anyway, it felt great to have her play the guitar. She has such a great voice. And she said the same thing that I have felt about that guitar, which is, it's a really warm sounding guitar, but it still has some treble and presence. It's very different than any other guitar that I've played, as far as guitar that I've heard. It plays similarly. Now, it's a Sycamore top, and Sycamore is the most tonally similar to mahogany in my experience. Very warm, doesn't have a huge like EQ hump or anything. It doesn't add that much bass. It's very similar to mahogany. Now the back and sides are Osage orange, and Osage orange is incredibly dense, even though I sanded all the way through the side of mine. But as you're going through, talk louder. I gotta get another cup of coffee. Oh, you're walking away. Okay, well, I will push it. There we go. That's as high as I can get it. I'm now hitting into right at the red. So let me know if that starts. Actually, should I? Oh, you're gonna get some feedback here for a second, because I'm gonna check this. So let me know if that starts. Actually, should I? Oh, you're gonna get some feedback here for a second, because I'm gonna check this. So let me know if that. Okay, there we go. Well, full loop. You caught the delay. But Osage orange, incredibly hard, and it acts and sounds a lot like ebony. That's why we used it for the bridge, to have that bright yellow bridge. Now the thing with ebony is that it's not usually a back and sides material. So there are guitars that would be like Macassar ebony or striped ebony. So you have those on the back and sides, but none of those guitars would have a mahogany top that would be similar. So they would all have spruce or cedar tops or redwood tops. So I have a guitar that, if you would translate it into other woods that we know that are similar to, it would be a mahogany top and ebony back and sides. That's not helpful. So it is truly just a completely unique guitar. There is not another one in the universe that is the same as that. just for the picks and all that, just for all of that. So that's good. It's hard. It's not invincible. So congrats on your new guitar, Joshua Thaxton. Digging the Virginia birthmark. Me too, man. I like it. Hey, from Mexico, Mr. Joe is here. Joe, hey man, how are you? Yeah. Okay. Well, we can keep talking about the guitar, but I think we this chair is in the way. If I move it, you just see the floor, but it seems annoying. I'm sitting at a conference table. So, anyway. Yeah, so Canadian says, also the song you played on it, dude, it was beautiful. Cheers to your mom. Thank you. Hail Mary Recording says, I need a new guitar. I got a bunch of guitars. I have so many guitars coming next week. Let's talk about that real quick. I have, do you want to see another guitar? This will get us into Underdog guitars, I promise. Jeremy the Sandman, road name. That's. Here's a pair, here's a pair. Here's a pair. Okay, can you still see me? I'll come over here. Sometimes I get stuck in redneck voice. Here's a guitar. I don't think I've told anyone about this. Internet doesn't know about this one yet. Or do they? This one just showed up. This is a Furch Vintage 2 OM. What a bright guitar. Ooh, that's clipping. That's funny. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. Hey, everybody's here. Joel is here. Hey, Joel. Joel is a patron and a friend, and not in that order, opposite order. He's a friend who's a patron, so that's awesome. Patty Pasta from Ottawa. Thanks for doing a live show today. I need it. Oh man, that's good. I'm glad you're here. How are things? How are you guys doing? So this is kind of Furch's take on an OM28 or a pre-war style OM. Now with that said, very little about this is traditional other than how it looks. So the Squier logo, the more traditional bound headstock, bound fingerboard, so it's more like an OM35 technically, but it has these freaking cool gold tuners. They are so good. And so this is rosewood back and sides. It's a Sitka spruce top, abalone rosette, ebony bridge, ebony fingerboard, herringbone on the top. And one of the other things about this is this has a voiced top. So what they do is they're measuring the top as they're going, and they are removing material to make it the most resonant. Now they're still a little cagey about what they're actually doing, but I've seen robots doing things. So they're definitely like completing whatever the Pascal rating is to get, like when they put sand or whatever on the top of it, it would resonate. If they put a frequency into it, all the sand would orient into like a closed circle. That makes it the most like a speaker cone that it can push out. So anyway, yeah, so this also has the brushed finish, so it's kind of hard to see, but it's a little satiny. Like it's glossy, like you can see the light in there, but it has this really kind of beautiful satin. Yeah, it is smooth to the touch, but it still like has a little bit of haze to it, and it is great. Also, it smells freaking excellent. You smell more guitars, just do it. It smells like the factory. Like if this has captured the air, or maybe this is what was in the air at Wielkanowice. So it seems like there are a ton of Furcs. Like they're really kind of going lots of places. Also, there's a wall. There's like a retaining wall that's made of like kind of white Texas limestone out there. And it's so bright that it's like, I could probably turn my light off there and it still would just be very bright. So anyway, if I'm squinting, it's because I'm looking at a camera with a bright light back behind it. So guitars smell like tree ghosts. That's a good, that should be a memoir, like Tree Ghosts. The Dana Bourgeois story. Speaking of Dana Bourgeois, I have 2 bourgeois coming to me next week, which is really exciting. So, number 1, I'm going to have one of the Touchstone OMs. I just saw my sister-in-law drive by. I should tell her I'm filming in here. She's going to sneak by. She's going to be uncomfortable. See how it goes. Okay. Do I just call her now? Yep. There's no time. Uh-oh. Oh, boy. I'm going to put this guitar away real quick and intercept her. Hey, FYI, I'm doing my live show in here. Yes, I didn't think about it. So you can just sneak by real quick. Go in and take a left. You'll still be in the back. If you could just talk about your favorite guitar as you walk by, that'd be great. Okay, awesome, thank you. All right, bye. She said, I love Furc, when I said, tell me your favorite guitar. So, guitars smell like tree ghosts. Canadian has 2 Taylors, a J45 and a Fender Parlor, a mid-70s Yamaha 12-string, a couple of mandolins, a didgeridoo, a dozen harmonicas, and a slide whistle and kazoos. Wow. How do your neighbors feel about you having this many instruments? Didgeridoo is cool and takes a lot of work. That's my best didgeridoo. Did she walk by? I think she did. I just started building a few guitars. Okay. Okay, I'll answer. There's one question from Jeremy Cope. So Jeremy says, any thoughts on Walden guitars? I learned on a Walden, and then they went out of business, but they are back now, and I have some nice features. So Jonathan, what's Jonathan's last name? Chu? Jonathan. Oh man, I have to look it up. What's Jonathan's last name? But I like Walden guitars a lot. I've only had one of them. I've played several others. They're really good guitars. They're working. They're partnering with really good builders in China to build their guitars. Now they're still made in China, and for better or worse, that is just where they are made. They do make really good guitars, and yeah, I'd be a big fan of those. Zach. So update for you. Kept the 0015 SM. That's an excellent guitar. Zach was asking me this week about like, hey, should I have a Taylor or I have a Martin 0015 SM slot headstock mahogany, and I'm thinking about a Taylor 214 Deluxe. What do you think? And I said like, hey, my suspicion is I would go with the Martin because it's warmer and bassier and has a little more presence. Might not be as bright. And then the pickup systems are going to be very different. So anyway, so it ended up working out that so he went and played both of them side by side. So, okay, well, let us get into, I'm just going to kind of word dump as we talk about some of these guitar brands. So these are guitars that I think are just underdogs. They're cool. They're underappreciated. They're undervalued. But at the same time, sometimes with some of these brands, and you'll see some more than others, will really get, like, you will get picked on or you will feel lesser than if you show up with one of these guitars. So, number one, I'm not saying that this is the case, but number one is Larrivate. They're just an underdog. They're exceptional guitars. Some are made in Canada, some are made in the US. They're pretty much all, I think basically all of them are all solid. Most of them have satin finishes. That's one thing. I wish they had gloss finishes, but by the time you get into the D5s, like to the 5 series, you're going to get into gloss finishes. But they're excellent guitars. And So, oh, hey. Yeah, keep your eyes on the road, Paulie. Yeah, man. So, wait, you have cell phone service over in Wild and Wonderful? And yes, Larrivee gloss finish. How are you messaging if you're driving? Especially, yeah, auto like dictate's not going to get Larrivee right. Or OM40. So anyway, and yes, Larrivee, gloss finish on my OM40 would be excellent. Yeah, it's interesting they don't have that. But anyway, so I think that Larrivees are excellent, and I've talked about them a lot. Like they are just wonderful sounding guitars, especially like a D03 is as good as a D18. Like it's excellent. Dark ebony bridge and fingerboard. Great spruce tops, great mahogany back and sides. Wish they were glossed, they're not, but they usually come with good hard cases and just excellent. So I bought every single one. Whoever was selling these in the early 2000s did an excellent job in New Orleans, but they sold them to all people who didn't stick with guitar for the long run. And so I found a lot of people, they're like, played it for a couple of years and then I just kind of got over it. So anyway, I think Larrivees are unbelievable. One of the best guitars I've ever owned was an OM9. That's the guitar that I tried to lowball the guy at the last second. And he said, hey buddy, listen, only you, me, and Jesus know you're here. And I was like, oh, look. Here's that other $300. I just want to go. I don't want you to stab me. Please let me leave. So anyway, Larrivees, wonderful. Yeah. So Mr. Elliot Godine is here, the good doctor himself, Dr. Godine. Dropping in late. Happy Friday, y'all. Yeah, see that little logo by his name too? That means he's a channel member. Thanks, buddy. So yes, I love Larrivees, especially the small ones. I just played one. I was at Groon earlier today. Ran into a couple guys. They said they were going to watch the live show. So John and John, hello. They were going in. They were walking into Carter Vintage, or they were walking into Groon wearing like Carter Vintage hats, Carter Vintage shirts. And I said, like, you got a set of stones wearing that in here. So, all right. So let's keep going. I just have a bunch of these. Yamahas, Yamaha guitars. Remember in high school when somebody would show up and they would just like say, well, I didn't want to get a Mexican Strat because I got a Yamaha Pacifica and it's way better. And you'd all be like, yeah, right. And then you play it and you're like, okay, this thing actually is pretty awesome. But for the rest of your life, you have to live with a Yamaha headstock on your Strat copy. So anyway, these are, now Yamaha is a huge brand and they do a bunch of stuff. But I think like for electric guitars, the Pacificas just, they always felt like a knockoff. And so you always had to just crank up the courage. Now, there are other Yamahas that are great, and they're definitely Underdog guitars. Most people have gotten wise to red labels, but the upside on red labels is that they made so many of them that they're still just pretty much available everywhere. So Yamaha's excellent. The old red labels, especially the 180s, what's the other one? The 360s. I just realized that those are, okay. Is there a 270? Is there a 90? There's a 110, I know. The 110 is excellent. It's like a 0018 thing. But these are all great, and they're not that expensive. It is amazing to me that they're kind of reissuing red labels, right? Which is, I mean, kind of amazing. Because that guitar has just stood the test of time as a really reliable, good-sounding dreadnought. Yeah, the big thing with them, there's two things. They sound excellent and they play really hard. Like that's just the way that they work. They're so great sounding with your right hand and so hard to play with your left hand, like trying to squeeze those strings back down. Elliott Smith played red labels a lot. I believe that for sure. I was listening to Elliott Smith yesterday and one of my kids was in the car with me and she just said, Papa, this is the saddest music you could ever listen to. And I was like, yes. And the 35-year-old, it's good for my 35-year-old heart. Yeah, so Chris Hillman played a Yamaha acoustic in the Desert Rose band, I think. I'm sure there's a bunch of them out there, but they're still, right? Like, they're still like a poor man's Martin. Like, you wouldn't just say, that's a good guitar. You would say, that's the best for compromise, for whatever. Ooh, hey, talking about Seagull. We're going to get there in a minute. Somewhere in here. Ovation, let's talk about it. They're my least favorite brand. They're a guitar that I see all the time and I would never want to buy, but I own one. It's in Louisiana. Ooh, need to get that guitar at some point. And I don't want it, but I have it. I don't like it, but I play it when I fly to Louisiana now and I don't have a guitar with me. Anyway, Ovations are built poorly. They're a bad design. They don't sound good, but some of my heroes have played them. Lindsey Buckingham included, and also the ladies from Heart can freaking shred an Ovation. Khaki King is one of the best guitar players of our lifetime, and she plays one. The coolest thing, I saw her play, it was in New Jersey somewhere, long time ago, 10 or 15 years ago. Let me think. It was 2009. That was a long time ago. 2009, I saw her play in the freezing cold outside in Atlantic City, and she had a projector on the front of her guitar, and it was like a white Ovation, and they would do like a projector on it. So anyway, the biggest problem, sorry if you got a gulping sound just then, the biggest problem with Ovations is just that they're built like classical guitars. They're fan braced, and so you just put too much tension on those strings or on the top of the guitar. And then what's that? There's a word that Nathan Wright used. Telegraphing. That's what it is. Telegraphing. You would start to see the bracing itself as they kind of crumple up. I'm gonna see. Let me see. What are you? What are your settings? Okay, so I'm basically at ISO 100, if you guys care. I don't know why you would or need to, but I might bump this light up just a scooch and see what I can do. Because I feel, anyway, I'm in my head. I don't need to produce right now. I just need to be here. I have enough trouble already getting my. Okay, hang on. Let's just for giggles. Let's take this thing to, it's at 60% now. Let's take it to 100. That was not dramatic. But it's very bright. It's too bright for me to look this way now. So let's go down. Okay. There it's off. Nominal difference at best. Sorry, I got distracted. Okay. Ovations. Yeah, Ovations are good. They're kind of exciting. They're definitely underdogs. You're gonna get critiqued. I might even make fun of you. I've made fun of many Ovations, and especially if you're a bigger guy like me. If you have any kind of belly, although I'm not bragging, I promise you, but I've noticed guitars sit on me differently. I've lost 25 pounds since the summer, and so I've noticed like guitars. Anyway, Ovations in particular, and certain other guitars, if they're round, they kind of just scooch out. And so I end up like playing like this, and it drives me crazy. So anyway, the Gibson J25 is awesome, says Guitar Squatch. I don't remember that. So, okay, now let's go to the next one. So Ovations, overall bad, some are good. And the pickups sound either terrible or awful depending on when you were a teenager. Epiphone, man. There are a few brands that just shout to the world. I've said so much about Gibson and Epiphone, and but what bums me out, Epiphone more often than not, the decisions that they make end up being problematic, making people feel bad for owning them. It always feels like, well, you bought an Epiphone because you can't afford a Gibson. But there are some Epiphones that are freaking screamers. Zach Broyles, I got to stop by him and see him at Mythos the other day. And so he ended up, he just got an Epiphone, a Japanese Epiphone Les Paul. And it has like the proper Gibson headstock. It just says Epiphone on it. I asked him if it was a kit. I hadn't seen one of those before. It's a dark, like tobacco sunburst, and it was very cool, and it played excellently. It's so good. It like got stuck in my head this week. I've texted him a couple times, like, can I borrow that? It's just so good. So anyway, I have a Larrivee L10 coming to me next week that we're gonna get to give away for free. So anyway, buckle in. I'm going to make some videos with it, going to talk about it, and then we'll figure a new home for it and get it shipped out. So, anyway. Yeah. So, John says, my old Ovation sounds like an old blues guitar, but it has a great neck. Inch and 7/8, 12 frets slotted. That's crazy. It's a big old wide neck, engine 7/8. I could see that. They definitely share a lot with blues guitars, especially 12 frets. You get some jangle, a lot of string noise. So anyway, cool. All right, other Epiphones. The G400s were always awesome. The SG shapes. The Les Paul Customs were great. Thick polyurethane finishes, cheap pickups. But they've gotten really cool. And then in the last couple of years, they've gotten pricey. Like all the Inspired by Gibsons. I guess I still own one of those, don't I? Anybody want a 59 Dark Burst? I still own it. You can buy it if you want. I'll give you a good deal. So Joshua says, I've heard the Inspired by Gibson Epi J45 is really good. They look freaking excellent. I played one that same shop that I bought the D35, Randy Lanier, at Lanier Music in Mandeville, Louisiana. I played one there. I was super, super underwhelmed with the acoustic tone, but it looks excellent. Like, it looks dead on like a J45. Great looking burst, great finish, and it just didn't sound that good. But also, it's that big giant room with 200 guitars hanging in it, so that room doesn't sound great. So I bet it would sound like that D35 didn't sound great. Sorry, in that room. But anyway. Rocky Northern has to go back to work. Can't set on break the whole show, but thanks for doing it. Yeah, man. Thanks for hanging out. I'm glad you. Thanks for using your break. I know. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. All right, Epiphones, good guitars, sometimes bad. What if I just say the same thing each time? Taylor guitars. Now you might be saying, "Hey, Taylor guitars are the." I don't know why I'm stuck in redneck voice today or hillbilly voice. You might say, hey, Taylor guitars are the largest guitar brand in the world. Hey, Taylor guitars have been on the front of every magazine, and they're story time. On the front, let me show you. It's not going to communicate very well because it's literally just coming from my phone into this camera, but you got to see this. The very front of Gruen guitars. They're putting up, oh, sorry. Come on, focus. Hang on. We'll do this. It's going to work. Can you see that? So on the very front of Gruen guitars, they're not putting a Martin up there. They're putting a Taylor up there. So I kind of want to speculate. I also kind of don't. I don't want to stir up controversy, but I think that Gruen and Martin are having issues. When you go in, the wall that used to only be Martins and the wall that used to only be Martins is now all Taylors. Like, now there's still Martins down the main hall, but the Martins have been put into the little alcoves where Taylor and Cole Clark used to be. Now Cole Clark are all out front, and then so it's interesting. I know they're doing an event with Taylor tomorrow. It's like a fitting at Gruen, but man, it feels like there's something real happening with. I mean, it's good for Taylor. I mean, you need a brand that's really cheering him on. But for someone that loves Martins, it's interesting. It feels like there's trouble a brewing. So Taylor guitars are, for the most part, I mean, think about if you grew up anywhere close to the bluegrass world, and if you show up with a Taylor, people, I mean, that's my favorite story that John from Casino Guitars told me, is that they always work the Taylor booth. They always do the Taylor booth at Merlefest, and they said that the first year that they did it, some good old boy in overalls walked up, and he had overalls on and a hat, and he looked at him and just said, "Never, I would never." And just, for him, like, he would choose death before he would play a Taylor guitar. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like, Martin is making the absolute best guitars they have ever made. They're freaking amazing guitars. I was just at the Martin Guitar Room today, which is exclusive, more exclusive than I realized. But yeah, I got to go there, and they gave me this blue chip, basically. Yeah, this is their pick. And yeah, I've been playing this a little bit today. But anyway, there's something going on with Taylor and Taylor and Gruen for sure. The more strategic partnership. They're launching a special design, like a limited edition just for Gruen. So anyway, Martins are still having supply issues, or that's what the local shops say. They still have the same thing going on. Few, if any, Martins infestation of Taylors. Yeah, I wonder if, yeah, every dealer that I've been to has said the same thing, that Martin, it's been hard to get enough guitars out. But when they get them, they're excellent. So I think that's the thing too, is that Martin would rather put out fewer guitars that meet their standards than more guitars and compromise, which I can understand that, and I can stand by that. Every one that I've played is a freaking monster. Every one. I played an SC13 today. I played one I think it was the same one. I think it came with them to IBMA a few weeks ago. I also played, what is it? It's a Rich Martin D28 artist. A Rich Robinson Custom. And what the coolest thing about this guitar is that it has the proper, it says Taylor right there, and I'm talking about Martins. So, oh, whoa, this one's different. This one's wrong. Okay, so it has the waffle tuners, like the proper 1950s style waffle tuners. Anyway, it's like, why are mom and dad fighting? My favorite meme of all time that broke my brain, it is the funniest thing I've ever seen, is it's a picture of like a Rorschach ink block, and it just says, I don't know who this Rorschach guy is, but I wish he'd stop drawing pictures of my parents fighting. It's my favorite. It's my favorite thing I've ever seen on the internet. Okay. Taylor guitars. There are some freaking sleepers. So for a long time, I grew up making fun of Taylors. It's actually one of my bigger regrets with one of my friends. Like, I just made fun of him mercilessly for having a Taylor because I bought into this like kind of dumb bullshit tribalism of like, you like Martin, I like Taylor, you're dumb. Instead of being like, hey, we both love guitars. We're both giving up time to volunteer for this ministry. We're both taking time out of our schedule and prioritizing music and community and people. And so anyway, those are the things that keep me up at night. I called JD a couple of years ago to apologize for that. Anyway, so Taylor guitars, there's some real sleepers. I keep thinking about, I bought a Taylor 355. It's a 12-string, mahogany back and side, spruce top. It was giant. It was so big, and it was the best sounding 12-string I've ever owned. And I was in that guitar for so little. I was in that guitar for $550, and then I sold it for $1,000. And even then, it's still, and I got more than other people were getting because I just took better pictures, wrote better descriptions, worked really hard to get it sold for top dollar. But man, I just think that a lot of Taylors are such good values. Like I bought a late 90s, there's a video about this, a late 90s 312. It was a 312. With a pinless bridge, and it was very cool. It sounded great. I got it for, I don't know, I have to go back and watch the video. $500, $550, and sold it for $850 or $900. So anyway, I think Taylors are great, and I think that the big thing is that they're just, they fly under the radar, and like they're kind of an underdog in some ways. Like an underdog, like the 810s are monstrous guitars. They have terrible resale value. And a couple weeks ago, when we did another live show on most depreciated guitars, showed that they lose like 57% of their value. So anyway, I think Taylors, probably don't buy them new, buy them used, and you'll get great deals. Oh, Seagull, let's talk about this. There's a Seagull down in the main house down there that I'm going to make a video about in the next couple weeks. I hate that guitar. I don't like Seagulls. I don't like the shape of their necks. I don't like how they sound. But I think it's that I've just never played one that's actually set up well and has a good set of strings. So that's the plan. I'm going to restring that guitar. Oh, I should have bought strings. I bought strings for other guitars. But anyway, I'm going to restring that guitar, and I'm going to try to love a Seagull. I should love it because I love cedar top guitars. I love cherry back and sides guitars. I think I just don't like the headstock shape. I think that's really, really, really what I don't like about them. But yes, so yeah. So Seagull guitars, again, sometimes good, usually bad. Probably don't buy one new. What if I keep having this? I'm having the same advice each time. So Alvarez, oh man, I love Alvarez guitars for what they are. My first, probably 4 or 5, I was a chronic. I was that kid that would come to a guitar shop, play guitar, fall in love with it, buy it, and then a week or 2 later be like, oh, I want a different one with a different pickup, and I want different features. And so Chuck, who owned the shop that I used to buy stuff from, Chuck was super gracious, and I mean also would trade in and give me, like I'd pay another $100. I probably by the time I'm like $1,200 into this Alvarez, because I've had 15 guitars before it. Oh yes, oh man. So Philip, I was just on the 40 Watt podcast this week, and you guys should watch that, listen to it. I think the audio's out now. The video will be out, I think, on Sunday, or Philip, you can clarify. I forget when you said it, but Alvarez is an incredibly precise guitar. They are really, really well done, even down to the most affordable ones, to the Regent series, to all the RDs, the ADs. All of those are just really great guitars. Then you get into Alvarez Yaris, and then you get into proper like K Yaris. They're Japanese precision carpentry at a level that is just so wonderful. And so they're really great, especially their 12 strings, and that's what Philip just got. Well, you got 2 of them. You got like a 6-string, was it a 6-string guitar and a 12-string for $280 for both of them. And he didn't even make that deal. He was like, what was it? I don't know. Anyway, the guy was asking $300 each. Philip asked him something, then the guy a couple of days later was like, how about $300? And Philip was like, okay, well, let's meet at this place. And the guy didn't want to drive to town, so he's like, how about $280 if you, $280, a baritone, that's what it is, a baritone and a 12-string. And so he got both of them for $280 with the $20 off of $300 for gas money. So that's awesome. But yeah, so Alvarez Yaris, here's the thing. When I think Alvarez Yaris, I will always think, it's been a while since I could hold my head up high. I always think about Stained. Was that Stained? Or was that, yeah, that was Stained. S-T-A-I-N-D. S-T-A-I-N-D. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, those dudes, they were on tons of like press stuff in the early 2000s for Alvarez Yaris. But yeah, they're great little guitars. Yeah. David Scott Brown. So, Canadian says, Pete Seeger played Seagulls. And then David says, yeah, but there were feathers everywhere. That is a dad joke. Yeah, man. So Alvarez are great. They are super affordable. Like, I think if they're always kind of on my short list when somebody's like, hey, I'm looking for a guitar for my nephew. We're not sure if he's going to play. We'll probably put $150 or $200 into it. I always say, like, that's easily one of the ones I recommend. Like, if you can find like an Alvarez RD8, or you can find an AD60, you can find these really pretty guitars that play great. They have great low C-shaped guitar, low C necks. Yeah, I still have. So, is this one in standard? I think this guitar's in standard. It is. So this riff that I play all the time. That was written in my college house that was called the Toolbox, and I didn't have a bed because my room was too small. I basically was in a closet. I was in a mud room between the kitchen upstairs and the back porch, and I was in this little, it used to be a screened-in porch that had been closed in. It was awful. I only paid $118 a month for rent, but I didn't have room for a bed in that room, so I slept in a hammock that I put eyelets into the wall on either side. And so, anyway, one night I'm laying there and I'm playing guitar in my hammock. So imagine my feet kicked up, and I come across that, and I was playing with a copper pick, like a really thin metal pick, which ended up chewing through my strings. But I came up with this. And then I did this. But something with like, so I would go like over the. I always think about that guitar because that guitar was just the right shaped neck, the right tone, the right timbre. It was just so like wonderfully bright. So they're not super bassy, but they're very clear. So anyway, these are guitars that, yeah. Yeah, now Jeremy can whip out the acoustic he made and say, this is my favorite. I mean, it's the best, it's my favorite guitar I've ever made. So, but it also, I mean, this is an excellent guitar. Now, I'll be the first one to say, I'm not going to sell all my other guitars and keep this, but I'm probably going to play this guitar most, and it's probably going to be with me. The big thing is, I'm interested to see how much this guitar is going to change. So this bright yellow is going to be gone in a couple of years. It will be a lot closer to this Sycamore color in a couple of years. But anyway, also on that same hammock, like a while later, I was sleeping in the hammock in a sleeping bag because it's like 20 degrees outside. It's basically 40 degrees in my room. And man, all of a sudden I woke up and my heels touched the back of my skull and I folded backwards. So my hammock, one of the eyelets pulled out of the wall and I fell on my desk chair, which was like a wooden desk chair. And I just inverted my spine and just, it was so freaking painful. And I got up, I threw my chair out the back door on the back porch, and then I just slept on the gross floor in my sleeping bag. And yeah, that's how I lived life for like 4 years. I wasn't in a frat, but I was in a house that was very much where where men become boys. The toolbox. If any of you went to JMU, if you've heard about James Madison University, one of the traditions is, especially if you're in like Christian ministries, like we were all in Young Life, you like houses have names, and then there's like this kind of culture around the house, which my house is still going strong. Hey, Driftwood Guitars is here. Hey, boys, Driftwoods. I did it. I built a guitar. Okay, we got to keep going through these. So Alvarez, great guitars, awesome. They're a great place to start. Guild guitars, other great sleepers, but listen, people are definitely getting wise to these days. So they're definitely, let's scoot the can. I don't know why it's just now bothering me, but I'll scoot that down a bit. But yeah, Guild guitars, exceptional. And what's interesting is they're complicated, and they are underdogs because they've just always been like handed off to other companies. So you have like, it's a loyal fan base that is totally chopped up by the geography and the ownership of the company at different time periods. Like for me, I love the Hoboken ones, like the very early ones, because they're old Epiphone. Like the employees that made those guitars used to work for Epiphone, and then when Epiphone moved to Kalamazoo, they said, hey, we don't want to move, we're planted here. And so they ended up staying, and they were in a labor union. They were a guild of guitar builders, and so they started Guild guitars. So I've always loved that component of them. But then there's other ones where people love the Westerly Rhode Island ones, which those are good to me as well. Yeah, I have no issue with those. Then there's some in Connecticut, right? Or Rhode Island? Waverly, Rhode Island, yes. And then the Fender ones are awful. The FMIC ones are terrible. And yeah, so then, then the most recent years, they've really like come back. They got bought by Cordoba from Fender. I don't know how that works, but the new American-made ones are excellent. So anyway, yeah, should have installed those eye hooks in a tree. That's true. Yes. So yeah, Chris, this is a Sycamore top. I'm assuming it's Chris. I don't know. Might be Matt. But yeah, so Osage orange on the back and sides, Sycamore top, and then Osage orange bridge as well. And then I sanded through the side on accident and had to make a patch out of Sycamore in the shape of Virginia. Then we did Ivoroid wave release. Greg says, hey, Driftwood, glue that Epi back together and send it to me. Don't do it. I don't know why. I don't know why I'd say it. But yeah, this is my first guitar I've ever built. We just did the finale video, went out earlier today. So anyway. Yes, so Michael Petrovich says, I feel that Westerlies are so popular due to John Denver and David Gilmour. It's true. It's also, they were the right guitars for that moment. Yeah, they just have a very warm, strummy, folky tone that just works really well. Anyway, yeah. Okay, Guilds. Pretty much winners all the time other than the Fender ones. Those are the only ones I really wouldn't buy. Even now, like the D240 Memoir is an exceptional guitar. And they're really affordable. They're like brand new. They're like $200, $300. They're the best looking guitar under $1,000. Might not be the best sounding, but they're really good. Dean guitars. Let's talk about these boys. Dean guitars, nothing to me feels like this is a brand that it's hard for me to even like talk about and find things that I like, because I don't like much about Dean guitars, except they're fun and shreddy and heavy, and they're really affordable. Like you can find Deans for so cheap. But it does bum me out how many of them are just like really cheap, made in China, made in Southeast Asia, just really cheapo guitars. So I still have to put a pick guard on that guitar. But anyway, sorry, my chair keeps scooting back. Yeah, so Dimebag is definitely like the big one. And so, but it always felt like there was a pretty steep divide or like stark contrast between the American-made ones that those dudes were playing and then the ones that, you know, lowly peasants, like, you know, the cheapo guitars, you know, that would show up in like Elkton, Virginia, where I grew up. There was a like tiny little rednecky guitar shop in this tiny town called Elkton, Virginia, which is now cool, but at that point it was not cool. And so at that point, with that guitar, it was like he would have BC Rich. I mean, he basically like idolized Kiss and Pantera. And so there were like BC Rich in there, and he would have, what's the other one? There's another brand that was right in there. But anyway, this is a brand that I've always just thought like they're cool, but man, they're a kind of music, they're a kind of clientele. They're just in an audience that I'm not in. And, but yeah, these are things like if I'm just like scrolling through Craigslist, I'm just going to keep just running past these. The big thing with, yeah, and Michael is talking about this now. So Dean was at the forefront of the Gibson lawsuits. That's why they were trying to make Flying V and Explorer into a combined monstrosity. Yeah. Oh, yes, don't worry. We'll get to Washburn here in a minute. But yeah, so closing thoughts. Dean has been a cool guitar company, especially for heavy stuff, and they've been at the very forefront of the abuse that Gibson puts into the guitar world, and they just continue to be, yeah. So anyway, and it's still not done. I mean, there was news this week that Gibson is suing them, saying that they're in contempt of court because they're continuing to make the V-shaped guitars. So anyway, yeah, the turquoise ring making me look like Nathaniel Rateliff. Yeah, I'll take that. Maybe 2 years ago, it was at Christmas. My wife and I were it was like New Year's. We're doing our life plans, just trying to figure out like, hey, what do you want your life to be about? Where do you want to, setting goals. And so one of the things was like, I'm just gonna wear the stuff I want to wear, and I want to just lean into like fashionable choices, because I've always been made fun of for like. I've always had different style, and people have always, like, even my roommates in college, especially my roommates in college, would make fun of me. Because I was into, like, metal band, like, tight metal band shirts. I was wearing a medium shirt, but then, gained some weight, and you're still, I was still wearing medium shirts. So I was in some schmedium stuff. But anyway. All right, next guitar brand, Squier. Look, this logo is literally even Squier by Fender. Like, you couldn't afford a Fender. You're not good enough. You're just an amateur. You're just trying. So, yeah. So, oh yeah, Elliot, with the red pants, man, it's about, like, I think a key component of fashion is confidence. So I gotta get some more red pants. Mine, I ended up getting rid of them because they had the buttons on the back of the pants, like the rivets, like stuck out, and they would just scratch the shit out of some stuff. Like, we had a bench that I sat down on, and it just like took like a gouge. So anyway, Squier. I love Squiers. My main guitar is a Squier, and I refinished the neck and put a Fender decal on it. It takes a lot of confidence for me to play a Squier. Like, I don't know. It's a really good example of, like, just the indoctrination that we have to, like, brands matter, and I mean, brands do matter. You can see me like wrestling through this. Why don't I like Squier? I think what I don't like about Squier is that it signifies compromise or translation. Like, it's, hey, you want a Strat? Okay, well, here's the cheapest way that we can make a Strat. Cheap pickups, cheap hardware, cheap electronics, bad finish, bad fretwork. Like, it's the best we could do for $150 for an Affinity or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, you certainly can. Yeah, you certainly can play a Squier, and there are plenty of people, like, not Johnny Winter, but there are a bunch of people that play Squiers. But even then, they're still doing a lot to them. So Patrick says, I love my modded Squier Telly. Hopefully I'll get a Fender Telly sometime in the future, but I will keep the Squier around to mod and not feel bad about it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a Fender, but it's basically like the same idea as a Squier. My Fender, my 85 Pink Paisley Telly, is like made in Japan, and that one's got a complicated history, but it is kind of a Squier, but it still says Fender on it, which I think is why I'm so into it. And it's also interesting because I was so disappointed years ago when I remember that guitar I had that was covered in stickers. It was a Bone something, Groove Bone. It was just like covered in decals, and it said Groove Bone on it. And so when I like took the finish off, I was so, like, I remember feeling so sad that it wasn't a Fender. Like, it was like all of a sudden I saw a Squier logo, and I was like, oh no. And part of that is that, like, Squiers are just worth less than Fenders. But it was still like a 57 reissue. It was a very cool, a 5762. They were doing the same specs basically for those, just different colors. So anyway, Bone Tone. Yeah. Whoops. So anyway, Squiers, good guitars. You got to crank up the confidence to play them live though. And most people, they're going to be the guitar that you're going to buy and tweak and modify. And yeah, so Mr. Martin says, hey Jeremy, I'm looking for an OM with rosewood back and sides for a maximum budget of £1,000. Any recommendations? Mahogany is also an option for the back and sides. You're going to be really hard pressed to get rosewood for £1,000. Your best option, without pretty much any doubt in my mind, especially being in Europe, is a Furch violet. Like one of the brand new violets. Hang on. I have to look this up. So, yes, here they are. So, hang on, maybe it's not maybe the violet is gone. Yeah, these are discontinued. Let me look at this real quick. Sorry. Okay. Yes, so it is the violet SM, and they offer these. So they're 1,200 lists, 1,200 pounds list. I'll put these. So these are going to be mahogany back and sides, but there is what I would recommend. That's my favorite. So if you're in that price point, now would be a good time to insert ads. It wants me to send you guys to an ad. Do I do it? Oh, I'm over the button. Oh, I'm not going to do it. But I will trade you. You don't get an ad right now, but you hit a thumbs up on this video. How about that? Otherwise, Otherwise, it's coming. There's only 15 likes right now. There's 81 people watching. Do an ad. 10 seconds. 9, 8. Hit a thumbs up. 7, 6. Keep going. There's still 15. You got to hit a thumbs up or you're getting an ad. I'm telling you, you're getting torched. 23 likes. 30. All right, keep going. All right, you got to hit 35 or you're getting an ad. I swear I'm going to put an ad right in your... What? Hold on. Lots of people are disliking. Don't do that. No. Hang on. We've defeated the purpose. Okay. It was at 30. Now it's back down to 18. Thanks a lot. I'm sorry. Oh, 39. There we go. Okay, we're good. You dodged a bullet. Not getting an ad. Thank you. 43. This is the best day of my life. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Okay. So Eastmans are also great. Yeah, David's right. There's some really good Eastmans. You probably could get... Yeah, I bet you could get like an E6 OM for a little more than that, and that's Rosewood. So anyway, okay, guys, this is great. Thank you. Okay, let me come back over here. We're gonna power through a couple more. Oh wow, we've been going over an hour. That's crazy. I have totally lost track of time. We've been going for an hour and 15 minutes. Let's go this way. Tacoma. Let's talk about Tacoma. Excellent guitars, total sleepers. They sound great. Fender murdered them, and then they always had problems with finish. Like every single one of them, the finish lifted up. But they sounded great. Really great guitars. Let's keep going. D'Angelico. I don't know why they're in here. I just needed a logo for the thumbnail. Washburn. This is one. What's the one that Revere plays? The Super Shreddy. It's like, is it more than 24 frets? But his is excellent. But overall, Washburn makes me sad. They are the Bullet Bourbon, which I like Bullet Bourbon, but they're the Bullet Bourbon of guitars. I mean, so basically what that means is, like, they are a brand that someone bought an old company and an old name and an old trademark, and then they, like, it was long since dead. And so you have, like, these American original made, I think they were in Chicago, like really wonderful guitars, slot head guitars, turn of the century, 1800s, 1900s, 1890s, 1900s, 1910s. And then somewhere, I guess in the 50s or 60s, Washburn died, and then they were brought back in the 80s or 90s, made in Korea. And so overall, most of them are just playing, they just like, it feels like a trusted name for a Chinese-made guitar. Now, with that said, there's some really fun, the electric guitars are really good. The acoustic guitars, they're fine. They're, they're the same as pretty much everybody else in that couple $100 range. So anyway, I like Washburn overall, but they still make me sad. Takamine. If I talk about Takamine, it will get posted on a Facebook message board, and then I'll get 30 emails about how I've never actually played a good Takamine. And you should hear the one that I have. That pickup, it blows the doors off anything, and this professional guitar player played it. I don't get it. I don't get sorry, you're getting the spicy opinions now. Like, I don't really get Takamines. They're fine, but they just don't sound that good. Like, they look cool. I like Garth Brooks. That's the only one I would actually be that interested in buying, where you have a guitar with a cutaway with a sound hole that is a guitar with a cutaway. Or it's like, hey, Doc, hey, man, heard you like sound holes. Or heard you like guitars. Here's a guitar inside your guitar. Yeah. Dylan had these 80s Washburns with an oval sound hole and a Florentine cutaway. Weird. It's Bruce Springsteen emailing you. That's not far off of actual reality. I wish I could explain more, but I can't. Takamine, I don't get it. Gretsch, fun, like Bullet Bourbon also. But they're not owned by Fender, but they are licensed to Fender, I think. I don't really understand it. Don Denny, he was like on their marketing team for years and years, or like connected to them in a marketing capacity. He lives in Harrisonburg. He and I have become friends. He lives a mile from my house. There's probably I don't understand why, but one of my worst performing videos of the last 5 years is just when I went and hung out with him at his place. We looked at his like collection of vintage radiators. But yeah. Yeah, so Philip says Takamine guitars are fine. They're not amazing, but they work fine plugged in. They sort of pioneered good electronics in the early days of acoustic electrics. It's true. Whatever advantage they had in getting acoustic guitar tones to sound better, that gap has disappeared. So anyway, Reverend guitars are excellent. They're not on this list. This was just kind of wet finger in the air, like trying to let my mind race. So like, all right, when I look at Craigslist or when I go into a guitar shop, what do I see? And I just like, it's okay. But anyway, so Gretches are really fun. They are pulling a nostalgia more than they deliver a quality of guitar. For the most part, they look really cool and they're fine. They're okay. Now some of them are freaking winners. The Japanese stuff, one of my favorite guitars was the 6117 that was excellent, made in Japan. That one was sold for a bunch of money, like $2,100 or something a couple years ago. Yeah. All right, Gretches, good, exciting. Music Man. I mostly was thinking about these, and Philip, you might agree too. I remember the amount of amps I would see show up that, like, you go to a show and someone's like, oh, that's a cool old tube amp. What's that? As they're walking in, and then they flip it around and like, wah, wah. You're like, oh, it's a Music Man. Okay, cool. I don't know. I don't know why that is. Like, they're fine. It's kind of where Fender went. I think that at that point they just don't feel innovative to me, although they had crazy stuff like power attenuating and they had stereo amps, I think. I mean, they had some options and cool stuff. Yeah, so Tarada, really? I think Tarada make Gretches. Cool. So yeah, Music Man. I couldn't find a logo that's just Music Man. Maybe they always were this logo. No, they're not, because there are some. Early Dumbles actually pulled transformers and parts out of Music Man amps. Fact check me, legit. I believe it, because that's the thing is, like, we just want so deeply to believe in, like, divine distilled wisdom that God touched the world and he told Alexander Dumble how to make the perfect amplifier. Like, we want to believe the mythos of these, where these things came from, like especially the it's gone, my brain drifted while I was talking. But yeah, we want to believe in the elf in the tree, like pure wisdom from this guy up on the hill, and he comes down and he tells us the truth. He's a truth sayer, which I shouldn't use. That phrase means a thing I don't mean now. But anyway. Yes. Okay. Yeah, Patrick, you're right. So they had just the silhouette of these two guys up there. But yeah. Yes, with their legs in the shape of an amp. That's what it is. So it's kind of been like morphed into this Ernie Ball logo, I guess, as they took ownership of it. But anyway, they're cool amps. They're super affordable. They might not be now, but for a long time when I was like, I grew up in the indie and punk rock world, and for so long, you would go into these guitar shops and they would have like the rolled and, what's it called? Tufted and rolled? Like a rolled vinyl custom, like all those custom solid state amps. They'd be like purple sparkle or blue sparkle. And you're like, it's a 612 cabinet and it's a cabinet and it's a head. And then they're like, how much you want? They're like, we're asking $350. Like, you have to haul it off. We're not helping you. You can't use our hand truck. Tuck and roll. That's what it's called. Which I always wanted to like those. They don't sound very good. Didn't talk about custom on here. It also, I don't use K's instead of C's. Anyway, I just don't like that. Korn, looking at you. A backwards R as well. They got two things going for them. Yeah, anyway. But, yeah, so, I mean, overall, you used to be able to get cool, and I can't even think of models, but you get like a 112 40 watt or a 22 watt, kind of a 5E3-ish thing. I just remember they didn't have great speakers. Anyway, who knows? Music Man, if you can find them, they're cool deals, but they are an underdog for sure. Peavey, let's talk about this one. This will be the last one that we talk about. Peavey is freaking awesome, or as it is better known, a Mississippi Marshall. They're excellent. Some of them are excellent. Some are terrible. But the Peavey Envoy was such a great kind of starter amp. Had a 10-inch speaker, so it just sounded kind of different and cool. The Rage 158, everyone had one of those. A Bandit 112. I had a Bandit 112 that I was moving into my parents' basement. When I was in high school, we used to practice our band in the basement. And man, I kind of stumbled at the top of the steps with my Peavey Bandit, and it dropped, and it's just concrete steps, like 12 big long steps into a cinder block wall, and it just like clang, 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 and just like fell all the way to the ground. And I ran down and picked it up, and it was like bumped up and beat up and torn up, but the cabinet was not broken, and the amp worked 100% the exact same way that it worked before. So, man, I just think that the Peaveys are monsters. Now, I also think for heavy stuff, I mean, we all know that a 5150 is incredible. 6505s are super great and heavy and chuggy. Now, the other thing is there are other amps that you've definitely slept on. The JSX is super affordable. It's Joe Satriani's custom model, and they are so affordable. Now, I was trying to think of video ideas a couple months ago, and I wanted to do like a video about like forgotten, like the last of the giants was kind of the idea, the last of the dinosaurs. I didn't know how to turn a visual metaphor into practical stuff, but I was looking at these amps, and I had a guy who was about an hour from me in Virginia that would sell me a Peavey JSX 120 watt 6L6. I think it's 6 12AX7s, 3-channel amp with the foot switch for $300. This thing sold for $1,600 new. And I ended up just saying like, I'm going to pass on it. So I didn't get it for $300. Probably was worth $500, like realistically. The Peavey XXX is another one that is a freaking monster. If you want a 5150 for half the price, a third of the price, it's not a block logo, it's not a script EVH, but it's, a great amplifier. Now, some of those come with 6L6s, some have EL34s. But to me, I think the Peavey XXX is pretty much one of the coolest amps out there. So, Peavey's awesome. Now, there are still some real stinkers. Like, I still don't understand why the Peavey, is it the what's the base? The T40? And then the T60. They are the heaviest freaking things ever. Now, the T60 has been reissued, which that's a thing that, what's his name, has said that he would never do. Good boy, old Herbert Peavey. Hartley Peavey has always said that he would never reissue, and then he ate his words. I remember him saying that, and it was really compelling. He said, we don't want to aim at anything behind us. We think the best guitars are in front of us. And then they reissued the T60, which is still great, and hopefully they're lighter. I haven't played one, but anyway. And then Peavey's always been into kind of like whatever you'd call the new metal goth kind of thing. They're made from oak. Is that true? That would make sense. But they are so heavy. So heavy. So, yeah. But yeah, I think overall Peaveys are really good. The Peavey TNT 250 is a bass amp that will freaking shake your teeth loose. And you can get them, you used to be able to get them for $250 all the time. Even adjusted for inflation, I'm sure you could find one for $400. I kind of want to, it'd be a fun video. I don't know how to convey it, because conveying loudness in YouTube is complicated. But yeah. Oh, hey, look at that. Wes says, quite an impressive collection of books and lights behind you, sir. Yes, I'm in the carriage house at Goose Hill. So this is an event space that my brother-in-law uses for the company Story Brand, and then Wes is a marketing guide. Hey, if any of you need help with your marketing, talk to me. Don't talk to Wes. I'll help you before Wes. I'll white paper Wes's work and just mark it up. That's what I'll do. Bobby says, I'm late to the party this week. My Underdogs are a 1983 Peavey T60. Plays great, sounds great. American-made Caleb Smith acoustic. That's cool. He's a great builder, but not well known yet. That's so exciting. Cool. Yeah. So that is the end. We went a long time. We went an hour and a half. But we also had a lot to do. So, number one, hey, if you're in the thumbs up crew, you are wonderful. And I really thank you for that. Now, one of the things I want you to do is go buy one of these shirts. We have a few of them left over from the order. These are the Guitars Make Us Better shirts. It is a sentiment I fully believe in. I believe that guitars make us better. Even this, having community, talking about guitars, just sharing a passion for a thing, making friends with each other, and then all of us finding encouragement and hope to then go back into our creative endeavors and make cooler stuff, just makes us better. That's what the world needs. Healthy, wonderful, integrated people that are aware of people around them. Oh, I forgot. I haven't, we're talking about Orangewood. I have an Orangewood showing up today. Rasmus is here. Hey, buddy. So, that's all I have. So there's a link in the description down below. Go buy some of these shirts. You can also, if you want to figure out how to build a guitar collection, I still am offering my course, Write Guitars Faster. Now, I think, on this, these shirts, if you enter code FREE, you'll get free shipping. Saves you $5. So, and those will ship very quickly. A bunch of shirts are in stock. Go buy those. We're also going to order hats here soon as well. And so life is good. Thanks for watching this video. And this has been really, really fun. So good. All right, everybody. Go fill the world with music and friendship. Be kind, be generous, and assume the best of people. See ya. It's technically over, but I didn't have a title that says that. So, see ya.